Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures, Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Sunny Vanderstar. Today's topic is weird and wonderful, unusual natural phenomena. And it will be presented by our fabulous NatHab expedition leader, Arpita Dutta. Arpita, we are so happy to have you back. I understand you've just been out in the field and have come back with so much enthusiasm and shining your light so brightly. So we cannot wait to hear all that you have to share with us today. Let's dive in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sunny, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. And yes, Sunny, I mean, it's been a wonderful trip. Like all the Grand India and Nepal, Bhutan was absolutely like hit. I would say we had amazing wildlife sighting, and at the same time, Nepal and Bhutan has given a different, like complete different experience because it's all culture and wildlife together. So yes, in both ways, spiritually, mentally, everywhere I'm lived, and I can't wait to start up the new season again to get into the field with all our guests. That would be amazing. But the more we go out and look into things, and that time we feel more connected to our planet, right? And which the planet, which is like from space, looks like a giant blue, marble, and was swirling white frothy clouds, emerald green and chocolate brown landscape, and huge sapphire color ocean. I mean, that is what we see, like when you see from the space, or when we just Google art as a picture. But that blue marble contains so many things. I mean, while going out, it's always keeps on, pushing yourself to know more about the planet we are living in. So, and the more close we go, we see all their different topographical features, right? I mean, there are ups and downs and terrains, rivers, and everything. Even like, plant, even the part of the planet has the unique phenomena. And the Mother Nature never fails to surprise us something extraordinary and unusual from time to time. That is so definitely for sure. Because every morning safari, every day, even in the zone of the national parks, it seems it's a brand new day. Nothing is a repeat. So it's always, keep you in a awe-striking, I think, mode all the time. And for many years, and today we are going to talk about some natural phenomenon which is happening around the world. And trust me, after this trip only, I felt like that this is something we can talk about. And you know what? Like for many years, people had different stories about all these natural phenomena, but thanks to science nowadays, which provides all the explanations of these natural phenomena. So, I mean, of course, this is a waterfall. This waterfall is present in the southern part of India. But when we talk about waterfalls, it's more like, is it coming from a perennial river or from a rain-fed river, like cascading down, and then there is a huge drop. And that sound, the roaring sound of the waterfalls, or, I mean, it gives you, I think, so much of freshness, and it takes you into a different life altogether. And the flowing water has so much connection to do with our actual life, right? And with that, but we are going to take you to a different waterfall today. Let's get back to Antarctica, the continent. And when we talk about Antarctica, the first thing, and being into nature and in wildlife and enthusiast, the first thing is the glaciers, and then it comes to the penguins and what we get to see in that area. I mean, the wildlife comes first. But at the same time, this Antarctica has a different story to say, which we hardly like go through, or we come across rather, which is the place like the McMurdo Dry Valley, where it is more like, it's the 1% of the continent where there is so less ice that it is more exposed with rocks and stones, and the temperature remains almost minus 90 degree Fahrenheit, and it is extremely dry. Wind blows with a speed of 200 miles per hour. Wow. And you know what, the more you see it, if you just Google and see the Death Valley stones formations and the patterns, you will get to see that they are incredible. They are incredible. I mean, it is extraordinary to see those kind of formation on our planet. And I think that's the reason why scientifically it is the most, exploring area for all the researchers, because it gives you so much informations, because it looks more like Mars than our Earth, and that is also in Antarctica. It's so different, and with that, and this is the mountain. This is where the where the red dot is. Here it is. So here is a glacier called Taylor, and this Taylor Glacier has these blood waterfalls. And now, how does it look? Oh my God, it's creepy. It's literally creepy that in this white snow, in this glacier, and suddenly there's like the blood kind of thing oozing out from the glacier. It's, of course, for a first glance, it gives you a shock, right? And this Taylor Glacier was first discovered by an Australian geologist, Griffith Taylor. And of course, after his name only, they have named this glacier. But with this, he has discovered in 1911, so long back. And after that, there are a lot of research and development where people are thinking about. Initially, it was thought that it's a algae for which this water is red in color, and that is also in this. And let me tell you, this Taylor Glacier is almost 5-storied height. So from there, this blood red oozing out. So now you just make a picture in your mind that how it's gonna look. And in front of you, there is a 5-storied glacier, and you are standing, and this is what is happening there. But now, after he has discovered it, what was the next thing which has happened? Because it was not the matter of the algae. And for that, a research team from Alaska University and Colorado College, they have been there, and from then onwards, they have been collecting samples and going there and see the waterfalls, and to try to figure out that what is all about. And they have seen these blood falls in a different and what they have seen, they have come up with a different knowledge. Rather, they were also, shocked to see this, because imagine a glacier takes almost like thousands years to form with the fresh water, right? But this stream which is coming out, it is super salty, even saltier than the ocean. And that's the reason why even in the freezing temperature, the water keeps flowing. And when they have seen that, the water contains iron. And when it is exposed on the surface of the Lake Bonny, where it is falling, it get oxidized, and they get this rust. This is actually the simple rust what we see in iron when we keep the iron rods or iron metal in outside the our house or wherever we see. But that contains that where this salt water is coming from. So for that, they have used radio echo sounding, to bring that what it is there. And they have found that there is almost 300 feet down there, there is almost a saline reservoir. and due to the movement and the pressure, it oozes out from the crevices of the glacier. I mean, just imagine how does it look like? And suppose this is sorry, here is the glacier, and here are the brines out here. Let me go back to the next picture. Yeah, so this is the Taylor Glacier, and this is Lake Bonny, and this is covered with ice, which is exposed to air. I mean, of course, there is oxygen, and there is a bedrock. So it is separated this, I mean, you know, subglacial ecosystem, I mean, which is the Blood Falls water source. And this pushes it, and this water comes out from the cracks and stuff to come and oozes out from this place. And while they were publishing the paper, they have also found there are a huge microbial community living in that source water area. Can you imagine in that temperature, in this kind of phenomenon, and there are microbes which are living? I mean, that is like extraordinary things which have been found out in 2003. That okay, this phenomenon has a lot of thing to do with nature. No bloody, no Dracula stories around this place. And yeah, that makes this place, I mean, more closed for the scientists, or more happening place for the researchers to research more. And still the researchers are going there, they're doing camping, they're collecting water, because sometimes the flow stops, because it's all depend on the pressure and the movement of the bottom layer, this rock bed. So hopefully in near future we would come across, or we would come up with new studies and new phenomenon in this particular area only. So next time if you visit Antarctica, just keep that in mind, that apart from this beautiful glaciers and penguins and sea, there is another thing, and there is a dry valley in this continent as well. So with that, after the dry valley, let's come to the Death Valley. And when we talk about the Death Valley, we know that we have heard about the Death Valley National Park, and of course it has a lot of animals, and of course mountain lions are there, and a lot of reptiles, agamas. I have to mention about the reptiles, and yeah, and there are a lot of other animals we get to see there. But there is another phenomenon which happens, and which kept scientists keeps on, you know, questioning and mesmerizing, or just calculating, or for decades, because that phenomenon doesn't happen in 40 to 60 years. I mean, it's not an everyday story that it happens. And that's the sailing stone. I think you might have come across the pictures, or some of you might have been there as well, that there are huge stones which is near about 320 kilos, and few are, and they have crossed almost 1500 kilometers from there, I mean from the source area, because they are the stones, or they are the huge rocks which tumbled from around the mountain and got into this race track. And they have put a trail, and it was very a ghostly thing, that who would be moving that stone, because as this stone can be here at the same place for a decade, or maybe like 4 decades, as I mentioned. So nobody has seen this phenomenon quite often. But it has the main three reasons for which this thing happens is the ice, wind, and water. The combining together, they could push the stone, which is 320 kilos almost. Imagine that. So what happens? So this pile, this lake here, I mean, it grows a small pool, a pond, and which is not more than 7 centimeter. The water which stocks here after the rain, and due to the low temperature, there is a sheet of ice which forms at the top. It cannot be very thick, or it cannot be very fragile. It has to be perfect enough which can push the stones. So what happens is, see those lines, and thanks to one of the scientists, I mean, he's a paleontologist, Richard Norris, and his cousin, both of them were at this thing, and at some point of time, you know what, even they thought that this is like the most boring research what they're doing, because nothing happens in front of their eyes. But in 2013, first, they have seen that phenomenon. I mean, it's a first-hand experience. When it rained, and when the ice sheet formed, and as I mentioned, that it has to be very particular, you know that. And when it was heating, I mean, in the morning when the sun is out, it started cracking. And because of the wind, and because of the bed is a little marshy, little sluggish, because the mud becomes soft, the wind pushes the ice sheet, and it actually pushes the the rock, and that snow sheet is so, I mean, while they're moving farther because of the wind, the rock travels that distance and put a trail behind, and this phenomenon is, when they have seen it, and they have published the paper in 2014. So I can say that it is a very recent study which bring out the actual reason of this phenomenon. Otherwise, people have been, and this is an inhabitable land, so people didn't know, and it was always a mystery for the people, that how the stone could travel, unless they have found this beautiful like physics behind this whole episode. And yes, if you next time if you go to Death Valley National Park, do cover this area, and let me know that how you felt about this, and how many rocks you could find, that who had traveled, who has walked the path from their source. Yeah, and this is the video what they have done. So here you can see that from this area how much the rock has moved, and here are the time area, and here how it looks like, so yeah, so we have now evidence. And for the next one, and this is just looking at this picture, and at first thing, if I just imagine, my mom keeps orange peels, to get it on the terrace, to get it dry under the sun, and or some polka dots, how it looks like. And imagine, and let me know, how did you feel when you first see this place? But this has a name, which is the fairy circles. And this fairy circle we get to see in Namibia. And this area, I mean, when we talk about Namibia, of course, it's a dry, arid grassland spread across almost 1,100 miles of the southern Africa. And this is the area where we get to see this red area, where we can witness these fairy circles. I mean, there are a lot of stories that UFO landed and stuff. I don't know, maybe in some places. But yeah, there were a lot of, when we were growing old, I mean, there's the circles, and people say that, okay, the UFO landed, and that's how you get this whole beautiful ring-like shapes. But for decades, the scientists came up with many theories, I mean, back and forth. Of course, I mean, these kind of things, and imagine from a distance, 1,100 miles, if you see something like this, it gives you a lot of, things to talk about, think about. And the two theories, well, like this is thought to be termites. And the second is the grass evolution. These are the two things which actually came up with a good, you know, equations or, hello? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I just got a notification that experiencing network connection. So that's why. Thank you, Sunny.
So far, you're coming through great.
Okay. So, this finally, a new study came up that which explains the thing in a much different way. And trust me, while I was studying this, when I was just reading through it, it make me feel that, you know, nature is definitely a place where they can give you like so many examples that how she works, and whatever is happening around us is so huge, and we are so tiny. And I mean, it's so being so stupid to think that human are the supreme beings. Definitely, maybe not. So this, and imagine these diameters are all about 2 to 12 meters. Can you imagine 2 to 12 meters? That those are that big. So that's why imagine this tree, this acacia, and this huge areas. And you know, the spear grass develop between a sandy soil, like which is under the, I mean, this area get only 50 to 100 millimeter per annum. This is important. And because of this, and when they get the rainfall, the outside area of those fairy circles get green, or the grass becomes softer. But inside, when there are saplings or it sprouts, they die even after 15 to 20 days. Just think why. I mean, why this thing can happen? I mean, because the water is getting everywhere, but inside the fairy circle, nothing survives. Only outside those fairy circles. And here, Dr. Stephen Getten, an ecologist from Germany, began his research on these fairy circles in the year 2000. And for 2 consecutive years in 2021 and 2022, they have been monitoring the growth of the grass out there. And they have found that the grass which are growing around the area has shorter roots than which were the sprout or the one which is trying to grow in between the circles. That means there is some connection of the water. You know what happens? These whole glass circles which are around the circles, they actually forms the water, I mean, stores the water like a reservoirs. They form a vacuum around their root so that the water reserves there. And the one which like goes inside, I mean, just come out inside the circle, they have to keep on searching for water. And that's the reason why the grass has taller, like longer root system, but they don't survive. And at the same time, they have found that these grass has, like, they have the most genetical like distinguishedness, or they are very different genetically. Even they are from the same family of grass, and that make them think about more and study about this thing more. So here they are actually noting the moisture of that area outside these fairy circles, and they found water within the circles which was like depleting fast, and despite of any grass to use it. You know, while this grass on the outside, which we can see that they are big, they are growing, and they're robust, and at the same time, you know, under the strong heat in this desert, this process is more like a well-established grasses had evolved to create that vacuum system around their roots and drew water towards them. They have found by doing all this, and this is how it looks like. Look at this. I mean, you can imagine, I mean, you can see this. They are like full grown, so, and with the shorter, and they're like growing, but they have much more longer roots. And yeah, and this genetically diverse grass. So I mean, here, and not only, I mean, the grass didn't stop only over there. And imagine how even the grass could figure out that this is the most sustainable structure. I mean, they didn't make up a square or a rectangle or a triangle, but they, just like the reservoir, how you put the water in, they could figure out, and they have started growing exactly like that. And this, I think this phenomena has so much thing to do with to think that how nature, or like the evolution, uh, how it happens. And it's called the eco-hydrological feedback. This whole phenomenon is called. But unfortunately, now in different parts of the world also, we are getting to see this circles, which is making more sure of this theory. And this is happening due to the climate change. So with this, Australia has the same, like the western part of the desert has the same fairy circles, but over there they have found termites. So now again the scientists are in a like complete like collision, or in a clash of mind, that in the same place, same theories is relatable in Australia or not, whether this is happening because of the termites or that is happening because of the grass evolution theory. So yes, still we are figuring out that what is exactly happening. But yes, this is an alarming thing, because in more areas when we see this, and everyone knows that climate change is definitely happening. So yes, so next time if Namibia, then you can just have a look, because you can take a chopper, you can fly from above and get to see the fairy circles like this, just like the Nazca lines, what you see in Peru. And then we have spoken about so much of dry desert and heat. Now let's come back to some cold and nice weather, and some ice. So this place is in Canada, and in Alberta. The lake name is your Abraham Lake. Look at the lake in summer. It looks beautiful, like turquoise blue, and this beautiful greenery and everything is out there. But this lake in winter froze like this. And the natural phenomenon we get to see here is the frozen bubbles in the lake. And it is located in the Kootenay Plains area of the Rockies in Front Range. And imagine the whole lake, and then you have this beautiful and extraordinary bubbles coming out, which looks definitely, and you can walk on them, and that beautiful this phenomenon. And people, I mean, this has become a very like popular tourist spots, especially in winter. But you know what, this didn't happen naturally. I mean, this lake, this was I mean, there was a dam was created. I mean, this is a man-made lake, and this was created by a company. And after that, and they didn't consult with anybody else, or they didn't sit for the consultation of the locals, that how they're going to do. They wanted to create a dam in the river, and which is a Bighorn Dam. And due to that, the area got flooded once. And due to the flood, a lot of vegetations went underwater, and this dead and decaying, I mean, plants, which has, I mean, after the flood, this dead and decaying plants and the creatures around, they started releasing the methane from the bottom. And what happens, this bacteria, I mean, when the bacteria at the bottom of the lake, they were dead organic matter, they like secrete the amount of methane and they start bubbling or float upwards. And while floating upwards during winter, when they float upwards, they stack, this bubble get frozen and they stack together like this, you know, and they make a lot of columns. And you know, they are very, and of course it's a methane gas, so they are flammable. If you just poke it and you light a matchstick, it can actually brings out flames. A lot of people try that. They take the risk, but they do it for fun. But definitely it is pretty risky thing to do. And of course it looks beautiful because of these bubbles you can see. And but this is also an alarming thing for our nature. A little methane gas is good to create the ozone layers, but when there is a larger amount of methane, it actually causes a lot of, I mean, it's decrease the livelihood of the human as well as for the animals which are living on this planet. It decreases the air quality as well. And methane is now is one of the, I mean, it is a powerful greenhouse gas, and it is one of like the potent gas, I mean, which is more than carbon dioxide right now because of a lot of emission and this farm, this cattle rearing farms, and so a lot of methanes we are producing, and that's the reason why we are facing this heat and different types of temperature in different areas. And of course this is true, which is happening, but definitely this is a beautiful natural phenomenon to witness in winter. And with that, I mean, the bubbles and the formation, let me take you to the Superman land. I mean, of course, when we are growing, I think Superman, Spider-Man, all these superheroes were quite fascinating. And so many times I have tied towel on my back and I tried to fly from my sofa. But anyway, thankfully I didn't break any of my leg. But yeah, it's very fascinating. But especially those crystal, you know, the crystal formation and stuff. But here it's a real world crystal formation thing, which is your okay, first let me tell you, do you have any idea which place is this? If you have, just press yes or in the chat box. Okay, so we all have known about Lake Baikal, right? The largest or rather one of the like huge freshwater lakes we have in the world, which carries almost 20% of the fresh water. And it says that the water is so clean, or rather the cleanest water we have. I mean, when you consider the fresh water. And it is located, I mean, Lake Baikal is located almost 1500 kilometers from, I mean, to the north of Mongolia. And it is like 637-meter deep and 336-kilometer long. And it contains 20% of the world fresh water, which we know. And in winter, the temperature drop up to minus 50 degrees centigrade. And you know, the Russian calls it their great sacred sea. And we all know about the Siberia and the wildlife. It is so different. It is another unique place to see or to witness so many varieties of wildlife and nature's creation that makes that area very specific, specifically beautiful rather. So what happens? So here is the place, and here is Lake Baikal. So in summer, the Lake Baikal looks like this, but in winter, the whole scenario changes. Imagine the trucks can actually travel on it. And look at this ice, and they are thick ice sheets. And when I'll just go back to this picture once. So when the summer or the spring approaches during March, I mean in the beginning of March, this ice like this broken ice creates a icy barrier by huge ice block collision, because the wind is moving and the ice is cracking and moving from everywhere, and those ice can be of like 1 to 2, like 10 feet sometimes in height. And from there, these ice sheets, and it is and below these ice sheets, it has this clear, crystal clear water. And because of the presence of the zooplanktons, and so they are actually the natural cleaners for Lake Baikal. And even the sponges are green in color. Of course, not the sponge color. These are the green algae, which the sponge and the algae maintain a symbiotic relationship, because the sponges have no organs in them. So yes, so with this beautiful structure of barrier or the ice which forms, and they are called the ice hammocks. I mean, the Russians, they call it ice hammocks. And these ice hammocks contain those crystal clear water below it, and which gives, when the sunlight falls and the snowy top, they actually looks like the turquoise crystals or turquoise gem. But these are the gem we cannot cut through and bring home. It's just a beautiful sight to see, you know, this gem structures. And when the wind pushes this sheet, they move. So you can imagine the reflection which takes place out there, and how beautiful that would look. But it doesn't stop there. In Lake Baikal, we get to see this Baikal Zen. This is another natural phenomenon there, where we get to see, I mean, from a distance, it seems like the water is holding, like water get fingers, and they're holding the rock on the tip of their finger. And this is also called the Zen like stones. And that happens in this frigid temperature, and the high wind form these tiny shelves that support the weight of the rocks. What happens when it's melting or when the formation, this rock forms a shade or the shadow, and the surrounding starts moving or melting usually, and they hold like a shelf to support these rocks. And this phenomenon or this process is called sublimation, and this causes this lake, I mean, this beautiful stones and rocks on the top of the finger of the, I mean, fingertip of the water. And this beautiful phenomenons, and then there are a lot more. While going through Lake Baikal, I got so many things, but definitely we can't get through. So with that, we have few more. I mean, there are too many that we cannot stop at one, but we have to talk about the pink lake healer in Australia. As I always say, and I think a lot of people and naturalists and expedition lizards, they say the same thing, that Australia can be declared as a different world altogether, because it has so many unique features and unique animals surviving on this huge islands. But this pink lake is because of some algae and halobacteria and other microbes, which causes this beautiful pink water, and they are very saline. This lake is very saline, and unfortunately this is after like 90s, after 70s, the color pink is vanishing because of, and scientists are saying, because of the global warming, the microbes and the bacteria for which this pink color was forming has been reducing, and that's the reason why we are losing this beautiful natural phenomenon from there. But still, you can get to see, especially special during the winter. Like approach of the winter, you might get to see this beautiful pink bubblegum pink shade, if I just correctly mention. And after that, we have this hidden beach in Mexico. Imagine, I mean, this is definitely if we go to a beach and we see a horizon, but it's like a cocoon. You go in, it's like your private area, and it is covered. It's just like an eggshell you cut off from the above, and you have a different world down there, and that makes this area so very special. If you have ever been there, please let me know. I would like to know more about this area from the first-hand information from all of you guys. And the next, but not the least, is the Northern Lights. We all know about it. It's been I've been dreaming from my childhood. My first painting I did with my acrylic was Northern Light. My first watercolor was for Northern Light. So I think when I started doing work, paintings on nature, I've started with this thing because this is so fascinating. When I was a kid, I used to know that they're the dancing, colorful lights you get to see in the sky, and when I got to know about the phenomenon, this all magnetic field, the strings, the solar storms, which are all creating this extraordinary things in the sky. And of course, whenever our NHA trip happens, we get a lot of updates with pictures and stories, and those make me feel more greedy more greedy to be there. And I'm not greedy about anything else rather than this one, to be there to see this. And just I don't know what I'll do. If you have been in this trip with NHA or without NHA, do let me know what was your first feeling to stand there. I mean, not into the videos, not into the picture, but to be there and feel that feelings. How do you feel about it? And yes, with this natural phenomenon, I just say thank you for today, for listening to me. And I hope I will get to hear a lot of stories from you all, whoever been to some places where you have found that this is so extraordinary and nature has shown a different phenomena or made you awestruck about. Just do write to me. I would love to read them and to reply that. And thank you so much. And Sunny, I'm ready to take up questions.
Arpita, thank you so much. That was fascinating. Before we start the Q&A, I just want to remind everyone that they can submit questions via the questions field in the control panel. The first one we have, moving back to earlier in your presentation, are the plants around the fairy circle all separate plants, or are they attached, possibly by rhizome?
There are different vegetations. There are different vegetations which are growing in that outside that circle only, and the grass which are there are almost of the some families, but they are genetically very diverse. Okay. So they are not connected with the rhizome, because I know these questions. Actually, there are some, the fungus circle is there where the mycelium actually covers. They connect to the roots and they form the circle. This is not related to that. So these are only the grass and the shrubs which grow around the fairy circle. They survive, but not the one which grow inside. And though no connection between the rhizomes.
Okay. Is there any discussion or plans to remediate Bubble Lake?
Till now in summer, when the methane gas are forming out, this haven't reached to that extent where this methane is actually, depleting anything to the nature. So right now there is nothing yet, but it says that if it is becoming more, because a lot of, I mean, not only this is a natural thing which is coming out, but there are a lot of external, which is man-made things, methanes are coming. So the accumulated thing would be really giving a bigger effect than this one.
Mm. Do you know how to access the hidden beach in Mexico?
No. Been to. I wish I could. That's why I say that if you have been there, just let me know. But I can get back to you on that. At least how you can go there if I just can make it. But no, I have no idea. I was actually reading about their natural, the habitat over there, the kind of creature you get to see, that hidden beach and stuff. I mean, learning about those.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for more questions to arrive. Most of the comments are just saying hi to you. People miss you and appreciating this fascinating topic. Another super enjoyable presentation. So I think we're done for today as far as questions go, but that was fascinating. Thank you so much for doing that research and bringing those phenomenon to us. Do you have any closing comments?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you. But I missed all of you, and seriously, Sunny, you too,
I
because
missed you.
in the trip, yeah, and the best part, a few of the guests this time, they have seen my webinars, and they have told, and I was so surprised. Margaret, she's 87. She brought few handwritten notes, and she said, "This is from your webinar." I was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, this is the best prize I could ever, imagine of. And at the same time, who all of you are present here, trust me, I missed you all. I mean, it's been a pleasure, and I think today's presentation, I don't know, honest, this is an honest confession, I don't know that how did it go, because I personally feel that it didn't go well, because again, after a gap of 3 months, I was a little nervous. But as you all are there to give me all the enthusiasm and energy to talk about, so I'll keep it on, keep going. And thank you everyone once again. Have a great day. And thank you so much, Sunny, for hosting it so nicely.
Oh, it's a pleasure. We're glad to have you back, and it was a fabulous presentation. And there's some requests to see your artwork and to bring us more of the same. We really enjoyed it. So thanks again. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. Please tune in again tomorrow for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, at our website, nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I'll conclude the webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone.